wonderful. Great to have our returning champion, if you will. He is the great Al Di Meola, back for a third time here on the podcast. We're so honored, thrilled to have him. Hey, Al, how are you?
Very good. Things have been good. A busy year last year. Looking forward to this year now, and it seems like we always kick off here in Florida in January. Last
Yeah.
few years.
Yeah. So how much longer on this tour that you have that after the
This is
Florida?
like a 2 week run with a bunch of dates in Florida. We start out in Ponte Vedra on the 13th, I believe, and then Fort Lauderdale 15. Then we go up to Orlando and Clearwater. Yeah.
Perfect. And it's called the Guitarchitect
Yeah.
Tour, which is wow, what a great name. Is that your doing, or did a whole marketing team come up with that one?
No, I came up with guitar architecture,
Oh,
or in
Guitarchitect.
Italian, guitarchitectura, but it would be too difficult for people. So yeah, my wife said, "Why don't we just limit it to guitar architect?"
I love it. I love it. It's great, and
It's a
this is a
phrase
little.
that I was playing with for many years.
I love that name. It's a great name, and sort of indicative of really encompassing your whole career, because you've really obviously the innovation that's gone on all these 50 plus years now.
Yeah.
And so it's a bit of a departure from the last tour, the electric tour, right? This is
Yeah.
primarily acoustic.
Yeah, it is. It's this is really what I love doing more than anything. Uh, this is like encompassing my more intricate and evolved compositions, right up to the current record.
Yeah, yeah. You had your record that released last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So we're covering, material from like mid period to current time, you know.
Great, great.
The early music was really, designated for electric guitar, so we're not covering that right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So for folks here in South Florida, where we're based and where Al is right now, in fact, at his winter abode, we a show here in Fort Lauderdale is at the Parker Playhouse on the 15th. That's a Thursday evening, 7:30 to see the Guitarchitect Tour. Tell us who's playing along with you on this one, Al.
So I have playing with me this time Peo Alfonsi, who's a great guitarist from Sardinia. He'll be covering a lot of the second guitar parts. And I have with me on percussion from Madrid, Sergio Martinez. Amazing kind of more flamenco type percussionist. And then I have joining me like as a special guest, Amit Kavlikar, who's probably the best tabla player on the scene right now. So there's a blending of cultures here.
Yeah, it sure is. That's wonderful. Real world music.
Yeah.
And so these players have did they start out as guys that listened to your music going back, and then and you were they were familiar with your repertoire, or were they just kind of doing their own thing and it just blended? How did that work out?
Well, I know Peo grew up with my music, and Sergio was very well aware of certain eras of what I had done, especially with the Paco thing, because he's from the flamenco world.
Right.
And Amit, I'm not too sure, but he showed a great interest to wanna do anything with me. He would write to me and say, if you have any project, I'd be free to come down, and because he was living in Boston at the time,
Mm,
and he just stayed on it. He was very diligent to try to hook up with me, and so I took him up, on it.
great. Our guest, of
Yeah,
course, our guest is the great Al Di Meola, and Al has joined us before here on the podcast, and really, really appreciate all these times, Al, that we've gotten to speak with you. Again, folks, in South Florida, the show on Thursday, January 15th at 7:30 p.m. at the Parker Playhouse in Fort Lauderdale. And of course, the tour continues, the
yeah,
Guitarchitect Tour through Florida and other cities before it wraps up in a couple of weeks. So Al, let me ask you, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about this time, which you didn't get a chance to, and it's a bit of a departure from what we normally do, but I know it's an equal passion, and that is, well, you certainly do these wonderful experiences at your home with the cooking and the concerts, the private shows that you do. You've done them in your home in New Jersey as well as in Capri,
Yeah.
your estate there, family estate. Wow, I got to tell you, I love to cook. We've shared this before. You understand as from with Italian heritage, I'm a Greek heritage. There's a lot of commonality there and a lot of passion. So I can tell you when I watch you cook, it is a brings me almost as much joy as your music does. You love it. You love to cook. Did you just grow up in the
It's
kitchen
just,
with your
well,
mom?
when you grew up in an Italian family, it's the conversations are usually all about food, mostly about food. And I've observed my mom and how she prepares food, and the thing they would talk about recipes, and we would go to restaurants constantly, always Italian, by the way.
Yeah,
And so it's a culture that I'm proud of and I love, and it's my favorite food by far.
yeah. No,
So I
it's
started cooking on my own, and developed my own kind of dishes. And when the COVID year came around that summer, uh, I had a few friends over in the back, and the whole world's got to shut down then. And they were back there, and I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to make them something they've never had before, so like a special pasta dish. And I said at the same time, I said, go live stream. And she goes, are you sure? I said, yeah, go live stream. What the hell? So people were commenting, like, from all over the world, shocked that, I also cook and all of that, like it's a big thing. So I made a kind of comment directed towards her phone, and I just said, and if any of you want to come, you're welcome to come to the house, and I'll cook for you in person. I was only kidding. It was like a total off the cuff thing.
yeah.
And then we read the comments after, and there was a lot of interest. They thought I was for real, and I said, well, wait a minute, maybe we can do this. I mean, but really do this. I
Yeah.
mean, do this like, 3-course gourmet to the max. My house is like a museum. They get to hang out, talk, we sit and eat for 3 hours, hors d'oeuvres before when they arrive, like you can't imagine all the Italian stuff. And then after, maybe what we could do, I'm telling my wife this at the time, is that then after dinner, we have to go down into my studio, and I do like a little private show for an hour and a half. And I offer a lesson at the end, or a jam, which no one ever takes, by the way. You know, and yeah, and I got real nervous. I said, man, I don't think we're gonna get one. You know, because it's a pricey thing, but there's a lot of work that goes into making it happen.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and but it is a unique experience. People, and I think after COVID, people are looking to, this is the time to live, because you never know, right?
You don't
Live
know.
now.
You're absolutely right. I think it's absolutely great. And we were talking before we came on, and there's a great pizza place here, which will give them a nod. That you told me about. Well, you've shared about
Mangia Beve.
Mange Bevi in Weston, and I just live right around the corner from that place, and I've tried it. I went in and I spoke with the young man that runs it, and I said, you know who sent me? I said, no, none other than Al Di Meola, and he lit up and he said, well, he had the margarita pizza, and so that's what I
Yeah.
got out of
Well,
this
these are
world.
all Napolitan boys,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
where my heritage is. My family's from
Napoli.
the vicinity of Napoli,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a special feeling and heart that I have for it.
Yeah, and that makes total sense. And
It's
it's
completely different than the rest of Italy. I mean, it's there's the dialect, the food. It's the wide range of emotions and stuff. It's not like the North at all.
yeah, yeah,
It's not like the Adriatic side, in terms of cuisine. So there's a certain kind of style that I grew up with, and
yeah.
there's you can find it in Manja Bevi if you're in Florida.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Regional dishes, and that's the thing about these countries. And I certainly can't speak for the rest of Europe, but with knowing my own Greek heritage, it's the same in Greece, where you've got all these different places, and you'll say something like, what you would say a hero, and in Philly it's a hoagie, right? So they're talking about the same thing, but the same thing in with these places around Italy. I'm sure it's like you reference something as being giving it a name, and in a different region they call it something else.
Right.
And one thing you said just about a week or so ago, which I just said, yeah, finally somebody steps up: gravy and sauce. Now, you listen. There's people North Jersey, love North Jersey, but a lot of folks there will Italian Americans will often refer to
Yeah.
Sauce, as we know, is
It's
tomato sauce, as
it's crazy.
gravy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They got it wrong.
They're wrong. Gravy
Yeah.
goes on turkey, right? It goes on.
Right. It's
No,
brown.
it's a brown sauce.
Gravy is brown, and it goes on meat. And sometimes tomato sauce goes on meat, but it's you don't then refer to it as gravy.
No, see what you got to do, Al. Next time is if you have anybody over, if anybody that's a stickler for that, and they insist on calling sauce gravy, have them over for Thanksgiving dinner and put the tomato sauce on top of the sliced turkey.
Right. Right.
That'll change things up quickly. They'll
Right.
get it then, right? Yeah, that's great. But so if you had to say right now, if we were going to come over and visit, and you were going to make a quickie, something quick and delicious in your kitchen there, like a cavatelli, I know is your favorite, right? Or is it cavatelli? Is that your
Cavatelli is one of them. Cavatelli is my mother used to make that from scratch. Like she would actually roll it out and put it through the machine and the whole thing. I would help her. Um, it's not necessary. You can also get from a good Italian deli. You can get some good packaged, and then I prefer sometimes when it's frozen and you put it in the water. Then I can time the consistency of the pasta. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
If it starts out soft and you put it in hot water, you're only going to get softer pasta, and then for me, I throw it away.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But
And then make just a nice fresh tomato sauce with that is always that's always
fresh tomato, it's got to be San Marzano.
Yeah,
And then I do my thing with it, by adding, you have to always break, the leaves, the basil, and
yeah. You don't
it
want to cut
releases.
them, right? You do it by hand,
You
right?
do it by hand. It releases the flavor. You never really use a knife on it to cut them. You just break them and put them right in the sauce.
Right.
And then there's other kinds of pasta I like. One is it's kind of more of a Roman area pasta called strezzapreti.
Uh-huh.
Strezzapreti is I'm starting to see it on menus more often now in restaurants.
Right.
And that's imagine it as a very, very thick spaghetti, but it's amazing, very thick, and it's always al dente, and it's amazing. It's one of my favorite pastas. Strezzapreti means choke the priest. So the Italians have a sense of humor.
Right.
And
Now,
then
is
you
it
have
would it be likened to maybe in terms of size and thickness, like a bucatini without the hole in the middle, like that kind of
yeah, but
thickness?
long,
Yeah, long. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, gotcha.
It's you have that like oh, you can have it so many different ways, but there's a place down here that I get it, and it's oh my God, it's very filling.
Yeah,
I tell you, very filling. And then
terrific.
there's the Napoli pasta. The pasta of Napoli is not necessarily cavatelli. It's more like pacchetti. Pacchetti is like a larger rigatoni, much better in my opinion. And cavatelli is more origins of Puglia or body. You know,
Gotcha,
the other
gotcha.
side of the boot and down in
Right,
the south.
right, right. So
So
Napoli, if my geography is correct, is the southwest,
south
southwest corner.
southwest,
Yeah,
yeah, above Calabria.
above Calabria. Right.
Calabria's all the way down, and right above it is
Is
the
Napoli.
Napoli region. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm reminded of Knights of Calabria, which is a film by Fellini, right, a long time ago. I think
Yeah.
Fellini. We're speaking, of course, with the great Al Di Meola. Departure a little bit from music for a
Music.
second and on to cooking. But why not? Because to me, it's all one beautiful cultural pastiche that is makes life worth living.
Sure.
Um, Al, you're with the music you're playing now. Again, acoustic. Talk a little bit about the instruments, the actual instruments that you're using. Is it you using just one guitar for this? Are you mixing it up a little bit?
I do have a steel string that I switched to for a couple of Lennon and McCartney pieces that we do in the middle of the show.
Yeah,
I'm still a huge Beatle fan,
yeah,
and we do a rendition of "In My Life" and "Because." And I use this brand new steel string that was made for me in Poland. You know,
great.
actually a
That's
beautiful sound. And then I go back to my nylon sound, Conde Hermanos, made in Madrid, and this is pretty much the dominant sound.
yeah,
And I use it with an effect that gives me like three different settings, like one for an electric guitar. Actually, I kick in with the nylon, and then I have a bass sound, and then like sort of a 12-string sound.
yeah.
So it kind of varies it up. So
Well,
what, these compositions that we're doing
mm-hmm.
are are ones from an album called The Infinite Desire.
Yes.
So we're doing three pieces from that record that I wrote two of them for the guitar trio back when we did our last guitar trio record in '95 at Peter Gabriel's studio. And I've never done them with a band or any kind of different configuration. So we're doing them now. One of them is called Vizzini, which is probably one of my, I'm most proud of this piece, maybe my top three
Mm.
of, all of the ones I've written. This is a very hard piece of music, but beautiful, and I wrote it for this artist, a painter named Andrea Vizzini, Sicilian painter. Over the years, I acquired a lot of his work,
Yeah.
so it was just a dedication to him because he's been a big inspiration. You know.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit. Other form. We may have touched on this the last time, but I'm curious to see if anything new's come in through through the grapevine. Other art forms, whether it be painting or writings or film or something like that. How do they touch you? How do you you know
Uh, Supreme performances, acting performances.
yeah,
I mean, you take De Niro or Pacino or Meryl Streep, and when you feel as though your heart's been touched,
yeah,
and you realize that you're looking at greatness, supreme greatness, and it affects you. Uh, if I go after seeing a movie like that and I pick up my guitar, I feel very inspired. And I've given certain credits on certain records to moments like that and
yeah,
performances like that. And yeah, it's definitely motivated me, whether it's a show I've seen and it was like, wow. And I go home, that's the time to play, or
yeah,
write.
yeah. That's great. I know that I read too where Chick Corea also would draw inspiration from other mediums, and so it informed his compositions as well. Does the same for you. Um, as far as this music, now you said you're going to do a couple of Beatles tunes. You're going to also and then play music from Infinite Desire. Um, Timeline. There's a long gap there. There's the '60s, there's the '70s, '80s, all this stuff. Um, when you sit and map out, decide, okay, here's what we're going to do. Um, do you look at it as just, okay, these are some of my favorites, or is there a thread there that you think about, or is it a little of both?
I think of how the piece could work live, how it would work with my other players, how I could take a piece maybe that doesn't have percussion and apply percussion to it. How sometimes I can hear a piece and it's okay in 4/4, but you know what? I'm going to put it in 6/8. Changes the feel. Uh, I've done that with the Beatles. I've done that with Piazzolla. Which of course we always include one or two Piazzolas in the show as well.
Yeah.
And it just makes the evening more fulfilling, primarily for me. And hopefully the audience gets it. Yeah.
Well, listen, if you're not happy, um, that's a thing, certainly. But if you're happy, the audience knows it. The audience picks up on it, and then I just
Yeah,
think
I've really been an artist that makes music for, like, when I'm recording and I'm thinking, is this gonna be liked you know listeners? I have to first think of how I like it,
yeah.
and if I'm satisfied with it, that's good enough, you know.
Believe me, I think 50 years of performing live to large audiences has proven the fact that they like it as well. So obviously, you're doing something right, Al. You know,
It's amazing. 50 years it's unbelievable. You wake up one day and go, wow, it's 50 years. Jesus Christ.
yeah, I know.
Uh, I don't know if I had the choice of, which is impossible, what I'm about to say, but if somebody said, would you rather be 19 years old and a clean slate or stay the age you are with everything you've done?
Mm.
And apply that same question to Paul McCartney. I would bet they would not go back because it took so much, and you never know if you're going to do it again.
That's true. Something else may
Yeah,
come in there, right?
yeah. It'd be great to be, super young again, but man, it took all of that energy and inspiration and sacrifice and chaos and
Yeah.
to get there. And now I have, 30, something like 35 solo albums that I wouldn't want to have to redo that again. Yeah.
Well, listen, they're amazing records, and listen to me, records. Yeah, I'm definitely a '70s kid.
It
Um,
plus I gotta say it was the glory days of the record business.
it was. You
It
were
was
very lucky.
very lucky. I mean, that I will say there are a lot of young hotshot guitar players that are playing amazing, but they'll never get the experience and the joy of walking into a record store and seeing the records in a bin.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing that we lost the business.
It's not the same. Even how people are really consuming it. We used to be audiophiles, right? We had a beautiful stereo in our home. We'd hear it, and now people are. It's like, oh, hey, check this out. Listen to this, and they're listening on a quarter-inch speaker.
That's right.
And
That's
people
right.
are. It's so different now, right?
Yeah, I mean, very rarely do I hear something in stereo anymore. And my mixes are hard right, hard left. I put percussion on the right, hard drums hard on, like the Beatles. I love when they put Ringo on one side.
Yeah.
And and when you hear it through that one little speaker, you're not getting any of the wonderful effect of the what the mixes were meant to be.
That's very true. Very,
You know,
very
but
true.
it's a different time. I won't say it's a better time, but you know, I'm one of the last Mohegans out there.
You are, and you are really now one of the true godfathers of this music, fathers of this music. I think well, I said Godfather, and I'm thinking of
Well,
I'm thinking of
Larry
Francis
Coryell is the
Coppola.
Godfather.
Yeah.
I'm I'm
uh,
okay to be the uncle or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're certainly well. You're not the
I would say
consigliere or the
John
capugine.
McLaughlin and Larry were the Godfathers,
Yeah,
and I snuck in there like 12 years younger than those guys,
yeah,
and I was just happy to be in their company. And Larry was a big influence when I was a teenager. I knew him very well, very supportive guy. And then John, of course, we kind of made history together with Friday Night in San Francisco. I mean, it's
totally.
and now Saturday Night came out recently, but it was Friday Night was like a 7 million selling
It,
fluke.
fluke. Yeah. Well, it,
Yeah,
for
who
a fluke,
thought?
it was one hell of an album. It was just unbelievable.
Well, you know how that went. That was a 2 month tour. Okay. And it was put together by an impresario from London by the name of Barry Marshall, who actually is Paul McCartney's main guy for all shows in the world. And but Barry started in the business with us. This is going back to 1980, and he organized this amazing 2 month tour starting in Scandinavia through all of Europe, and then we ended up in the States. The very last shows were two shows in San Francisco at the Warfield. We recorded almost all the shows. That's the kind of foresight that Barry had, that we should record everything, even in Europe. So I have all the tapes.
Yeah.
They all wound up at my house because we mixed in White Plains, New York.
Ah.
So the studio said, "What are we going to do with all these boxes that are stacked to the ceiling?" I said, "Well, I live across the river, so I wound up with everything." But it was after going through a lot of the shows in the mix studio with John and Paco, we felt the last shows were the best. And I think it's solely due to the fact that there were no cell phones back then, no computers. All we had to do every day was practice and get ready for that show that night.
Yeah. No
2 months
distractions.
of
Just it's all.
only no 5 hours on the phone, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So plus we had our facilities at the max, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yes. Understood. And that's great. I, I remember with my friends. Here we are, young guys playing music together and listening to these albums and being inspired and trying to say one day, and I can remember a riff, a run. I'm sorry, a run on that album that you played, and I swear it's like we were trying to, how do we slow this down to count how many notes are in that run, and I swear we said there's like 224 notes in that run that he plays, and I just was thought, the speed, the clarity, the power, passion, grace, and fire, if I may borrow that phrase. It was just unbelievable. All of you guys together, it was just it was incredible. And Paco's no longer with us, and he was an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
But those albums are amazing, and again, the first one was the one that caught everyone's attention,
Yeah.
and then kind of rewrote history. Um, I wanted to ask you this: when you were at home, this is right before RTF, okay, 74, and you're playing, and you've gotten to a certain level now. You're 19 years old. You're at a certain level, but then the acoustic stuff started to happen really soon after, and you had this sound that no one else had, this muted technique and the
Yeah.
speed, and when that started to happen, that started to begin to fall under your fingers. Was there an aha moment for you? Was it's like, this, like that moment is, can you kind of talk about that moment, or was it over a long stretch, or was it just something that just clicked and then said, this
No, it was
is,
like, well, the muting thing was just because I was more shy in a sense of, I didn't want my neighbors right down below my window, my upstairs window, to hear so much of what I'm practicing. So I would mute those low strings in particular. And then when I switched to electric, or maybe I was playing electric then, I don't know, but I found that when you're playing at a higher volume, like the sustained volume through a
yeah,
Marshall,
yeah,
like the early days we did, uh, to get real clear notes, you can't have an open palm and play with a sustained sound when you're playing down low. It could sound very like mushy, so I would mute those low strings so that they would pop, and it's all because of my neighbors. Yeah, it's all because of this family next door that had me play that way. You know.
that is amazing. Wow, what a great story. And so now suddenly, I do you remember the effect it had when you started to play that for, let's say, maybe it's Chick, or maybe, I don't know, somebody, during that period, right at that period. Did you find what was the reaction? It's like, well, I never heard
Well,
you.
Chick was Chick in particular was someone I looked up to because his articulation was above so many others.
Yeah,
His sense of rhythm and his very strong articulation uh, influenced me. And in order to play with a kind of muted technique on the low strings, you have to have strong articulation. There's no two ways about it. So I I practice for that. You know.
yeah. He must have loved, the guys must have just been like, wow, this is. I would imagine when you came into the band after
Mm.
Bill left, Bill Connors left. You came into the band and it was a whole new thing happening, and then really certainly
Yeah,
by the No
I
Mystery album.
think I think because I think Chick liked my attitude, number one, first and foremost. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about anything. I was really happy to be there and willing to execute what he wanted me to do. And I love to practice, and he loved that. He always used to say, I love that Al loves to, rehearse, and uh, and the fact that I could read music was a big thing, and also my technique.
Yeah,
That was a big thing too, because he wrote some very technical things that I think were more of a challenge for Bill, who comes from more of a rock and roll kind of thing.
right.
Wonderful at what he did, by the way. And I never got to meet him. I
Really?
don't think he's too happy that I took his place, but
Yeah,
he did leave the band.
yeah, yeah.
He did leave the band. I mean, what are you gonna do? In fact, I wasn't the next guitar player.
Earl Clue, right?
Earl Klug. I went to see Return to Forever in Boston, and there's Earl Klug, and I'm going, yeah, he plays acoustic guitar. What's he doing with a Les Paul? And that's when I made a mention to a friend of mine back in New Jersey who just happened to have a tape of me playing at a club that he had made.
Now, is that
And
Mike Buyakis?
Mike B. Bayukis.
Bayukis. Yeah,
And he was like my big brother. He was
yeah.
actually my sister's friend, 7 years older, and he just him and I would just listen to music all the time. And he saw something in me that I didn't know what I wasn't sure of. I was a very insecure kid, and he followed me to this club called Richard's Lounge in Lakewood, New Jersey, when I was playing with the Barry Miles Quartet, and it was on New Year's Eve, and he recorded me that night. and that was a tape that he got the chick in the management.
Yeah. It's a well documented event that changed fusion history. It really did. Wow.
Amazing. And my first show was like after 2 days of rehearsing, or it could have been 3 days. I don't remember, 2 or 3 days. Our first sold out show was already sold out even before I got into the rehearsals. It was at Carnegie Hall. So my first show, I had to walk out of Carnegie Hall like shaking.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's well, look, you have had not only a legendary career, but a blessed career. I mean, it seems like the timing, but certainly not for the lack of unbelievable amount of work and time and effort, but it's just the paths, all the tumblers in the universe just sort of fell into place, and what we all benefited from was a marvelous musical legacy which continues, endures, and for folks wanting to hear the Guitarchitect Tour, go out and hear Al Di Meola and his band, an acoustic tour that is a must-see. I'm looking forward to it at the Parker Theater, Parker Playhouse in Fort Lauderdale on Thursday the 15th of January. And then
my wife has done all the visuals in the back of the song, so she's, we have a back screen.
Yeah, there's a visual component to this.
It's highly visual, highly
wonderful.
And it's a whole new thing in a sense.
Stephanie Di Meola is your wife.
Stephanie's she's amazing. She's added so much to my career, and it's the last 10 years. We've been married 10 years, and it's been the best 10 years of my life, But she gets totally involved with the artistic side. She was a former journalist in Germany, music journalist. She's interviewed all the big names. So she loves this business, and she's very not only supportive, she adds to my life, in many ways.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
We've seen her at the shows backstage, and
she'll be there
doing stuff, constantly on the move.
She'll be there, and my daughter, my who just turned 10, Ava, will be. She'll be there, and she'll be at the merch stand too.
Perfect. All right, so we'll get to see to hang with the family a bit and say hello.
Absolutely.
Al, thanks again so much for this. This has been wonderful. We really appreciate it. Could talk forever. There's millions of stories. I'd love to have you on again. This is the third time. Third's a charm, but 4 is even better. So
thanks for doing the show, for getting the word out. Because absolutely. I know they've only had a month to promote it. Yeah, maybe a month and a half tops. And usually in Europe, they'll have 8, 9, 10 months to promote a show.
Yeah.
And in the States, it's just a typical thing for this type of music. You get like a month or two of promotion. That's it. So I really appreciate your having me on.
Anytime I can do anything, I'm here. I'd love to help out in any way. There he is, folks. Thank you. Al Di Meola, the great Al Di Meola. For you folks in South Florida, it is the Guitarchitect Tour at the Parker Playhouse on Thursday, January 15th, 7:30 start. Get your tickets and go online, aldimiola.com. If you want to learn more, get more tickets anywhere else on the tour. That's where you go. Beautiful. All right, folks, we will see you next time on the FusionShare Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.